Hi, we're ready to begin. I'm going to start with the Learn to Draw activity from my Mother Earth coloring book in 4 steps to get a pictographic horse. And that's a real old-fashioned First Nations art technique, just giving basic outline to animals, creatures, different figures. So find a piece of paper, a pencil, pen, and we're going to actually start with this rectangle for the body, to get that body proportion of the horse, because it has that longer body. Then you're going to go to the one side and add a neckline from that upper part of that rectangle. Then you're going to go and do a mini Saskatchewan to represent the head and the shape of the head of the horse, and add that little ear line coming out of it. Then you're going to, lastly, is add the 4 legs interpretively, and of course the tail. So you basically got the basic proportions of a horse, and it's a fun way just to get a line drawing and get things, started. Now what I've created from there is I've used the basics, and then I've developed a pattern of a running horse that I'm going to use today. So you can use this, and you can actually make, from a pictograph, you can make horse details. So I see it as a first level drawing to grow your drawing skills. So you can get a lot of horse pictures, and you could make your own pattern and draw your own, get it, and then make a paper cutout like this once you've got the horse body the way you like it. So, okay, welcome back. We're going to start the craft. So what you'll need is bristle board. I buy mine at the art store. Michael's is in PA here, and it's really, really easy to go buy bristle board there. They have bristle board in a lot of craft stores. It's 96-pound weight, and I buy these large sheets. So we'll need a sheet about the size of 14 inches by 17 inches or bigger to do our 6 horses. So I'm going to move this out of the way.
Good.
Okay, so once you have your piece of bristle board and you've created a pattern that you like, we need to trace 6 horses on to that bristle board. I'm going to use a Sharpie marker. I usually use pencil and eraser, but I want it really visible here so that you can see. So I've got my little Metis horse pattern. I'm tracing it out, and I'm going to do 6 of them because on my design here for the horse mobile, I've got 3 horses on each side of the willow stick. So you're going to actually trace 6 horses. Okay, and then what you're going to need is you're going to have to, for this craft, so you're going to need your bristle board, pencil eraser, maybe some markers. Just gather whatever you have from your home and get ready for the craft. Okay, now that we've cut out our horses, I'm just doing 3 here because we have the demo with me. So you get your horses, lay out all your horses. Now I'm encouraging you to be creative. Like if you want to add more or less, you want to change them running, you do whatever you want. I'm just doing this, this particular way, but there's no right or wrong way. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to hole punch where you're going to have them laid out where you want, and your horses are going to need to have, with a hole punch, you're going to want to hole punch your horse. And remember, where you punch the hole at the top is how the tilt of your horse will be. So I typically go somewhere right around here. Let's go down here, the lower thigh, because if you see my example, I kind of have the down here by the belly and the leg where I punched my hole. So the horses look somewhat like they're running. They're somewhat spry. So punching your holes is really good first, because then you're going to put some applique on and do your designing of your horses. So again, which values do you want? What kind of things do you want to say? What words make you, think of your Métis cultural values? So again, I'm going to go with creator, the concept of balance. And one of the things I truly love right now, and I value her, Mother Earth. I am going to put the Mother Earth as a value because she's such a source of life. Okay, so now that we have the values, you cut all your horses, you pick your values that bring you joy, that make you feel proud to be Métis and happy. The next thing is making the design, the applique and design. So you can use pencils, crayons, you can paint, it's up to you. I'm keeping it really simple with really easily attainable items. So what I've encouraged is cutouts with construction paper and buttons to weight the horses down. That adding that extra weight actually helps it hang better. So what I've got here with me today is a whole bunch of buttons that I've collected. So you can purchase buttons at a craft store. So we're just going to take some of those buttons out. And then pick buttons that you want. They're going to really add that weight and help that craft, you know, hang nice, spin nice. So pick your favorite buttons and place them. And you can put as many as you want. You don't want to get it too terribly heavy, but lay them out kind of where you think you want them. You can mix and match the buttons the way you see fit or keep a pattern that you want. Okay, so once you've laid that out, and I would suggest the buttons first before you do any painting, drawing, because you want to make sure that space is taken up. So you'll want to take your hot glue gun. So you'll need glue sticks and a hot glue gun, and you want to glue those buttons to your horse figure. And then you can pull off any little hairs that the glue leaves behind when it cools down. You can also use white glue, but you're going to have to be careful that you don't bump it. Hot glue is very quick. If you have, you know, you want to get really moving it into the decorating part, it's a faster way than waiting for the white glue to dry. So once you've gotten your glue sticks, and then you can decide the next step is, okay, now appliquing. Now applique is taking something that you have and attaching it to something else. A lot of women who sew use applique. So I'm going to actually use construction paper, and I am encouraging really simple symbols, and I'm going to do a heart. So I make a fold line, and I'm going to like make little mini hearts, and I can change the shape and tweak them and keep some simple shapes, simple harmonious shapes, especially since I'm talking about values like balance. So you can either hot glue gun, or I have something called, you could use white glue, and I like using for this part of it, gluing construction paper. I really find it's nice to use a brush and glue because I find it goes on so beautifully. So I have some nice brushes here. I've got my glue, and then I'm actually going to take the brush and dip it into that and spread it on. I find you can also use glue sticks. If you have glue sticks, that's fine too. I just like the way it's easy to apply with a brush. All right, so now that you've appliqued, you can also do some extra decorative with just basic markers and items, and you can even do drawings and stuff on there. Mother Earth, you could do things like florals. You could do the Métis pointillism with the dot work if you want, and you could go further until you're really happy with the decoration on your horse. So the next thing you're going to need is to gather, if you have any pony beads or ribbons, and you're also going to need some wool. I also have different types of cordage. I've got jute cordage, I have cotton cordage from the dollar store, and just different assorted size wool and yarn. And I also even got some beautiful bells, because some of the Métis horse gear used to have bells on it in the past. So I thought that would be a really nice way to honor our ancestors. So when you look up here, I applique, I put my buttons. One of the next things is actually on the bottom horses is I tied in ribbons and yarn. And so I decided on my demo here's my willow stick that I have. Here's my 3 horses that I'm going to attach And I could attach my other 3, but I'm just going to show you how this 3 works. So this is going to be my bottom horse. So I know it's going to be at the bottom. So I'm going to actually add as many ribbons as I want to give that nice little, you know, look to it. So one of the things you can do is you can add all sorts of things like yarn, ribbon, and different things that you have. You could also take some of your pony beads. With pony beads, they have a nice size and they have a pretty big center. And what you can do is you could feed yarn. I like to take the ribbon, cut a bit of an angle to it, feed the bead onto the ribbon. It's a little tricky. And pull it through. And then you can actually just tie a knot on the ribbon and the bead won't go down. You can tie knots and that'll actually look quite lovely hanging from your horse. So what I would do is I take that ribbon and fold it in half. I take one of my circles here that's on my Mother Earth horse and I just tie that ribbon once I feed it through. And this is a craft you could do with someone, you could do on your own. Kind of nice just to, and you can do it with a lot of found objects right from your own home. I'm going to cut that ribbon down, pull it taut, and I'm starting to get a nice design and a pattern going here. So I can take various sizes of ribbon and embellish that. So I think that's something to really think about of what you have, what colors, what ribbons, and using different things. You could tie bells on to some of your yarn and attach it to your horse. Okay, so now that I've got my horses all decorated, I have everything, I have my ones at the bottom with all the design I want with the ribbons. I want to attach the first horse to my willow stick. So I'm going to do some winding and then I'm going to just use these shoelace knots to secure it, and then I'm just going to go down through each horse and string it up with my yarn. So I'm going to demo that for you. So I have my first horse here. I'm going to find a position on my willow stick that I like. I can always tweak, and I like to start with just sort of winding it so I can see if that's where I like, and then I can adjust it if I need to change. So I'm winding it. Once I'm secured it where I want, I actually lay it down and do your typical shoelace knot to attach that first horse, and then just trim again with your scissors, and then you have your first horse attached to your willow stick, and then you can work the run line down. You can also decorate both sides. I didn't. But I think, you know, if you say you want to actually suspend this to a roof and you want it to move instead of having it on a wall, you can actually do both sides decorate, because that way you will see the horse and the teachings and from both sides. So again, string up the top and then start running your cord or your wool through each horse. So I'm ready to tie my last horse on my one side. So I'm going to feed my last piece of yarn here, kind of distance it how I want. I've got a really nice run line in my horses. I think that's about where I want it. I'm going to do my final shoelace knot. I'm going to double knot it just in case. Pull it taut. There we go. And then I'm going to cut the excess. Here, I just need to, there we go, cut the excess off. And once you've done that, you have completely got your one side, and I'm going to stand up here and hold it. So you are ready to attach your second row of horses on the other end of the willow stick. And then you can tie either jute cord from one end and put a nail in the wall, or just put nails in the wall and attach your willow stick, or suspend it with fishing line from the ceiling. And so I think you're well on your way to making your own beautiful horse mobile. So here's the two of them. And you could go as big or as large or as grand as you want with this craft. So it's got endless possibilities. So enjoy telling your own Métis values through your own horse mobile. And in the future, if you want to try it with fabric, wood, you can go further, but you've got the basics now with using paper and easily found objects that are available. Thank you for joining me.